Hare Krishna, dear devotees, and welcome to today's session. How are you doing? I pray that all is well with you and your families at this time. So today we're moving on to text number 19, and we just have 9 days left for the completion of this Kartika month. It's been very wonderful as we've been discussing this wonderful Leela of Mother Yashoda binding baby Krishna. So text number 19. Evam Shanda Rishita Hyanga Harina Bhritya Vasyata Svavasanapi Krishnena Yasyedam Se Svanam Vase. Translation. O Parikshit Maharaj, this entire universe with its great exalted demigods like Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma and Lord Indra is under the control of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So we see in today's continuation that Maharaj Parikshit is now being addressed. So we're moving back to the original pastime. So we're moving back to the original Leela where Shukadev Goswami is speaking this to Parikshit Maharaj, who was eager. He heard 9 cantos. Now he's hearing the 10th canto. And now he's hearing about the person that he saw in the womb that protected him when he was an embryo. And he was looking his whole life. Parikshita means to examine. He was examining in his whole life, where is this person who saved me at that time? And now he's hearing about this person. So Parikshit Maharaj is being addressed, and he's being told by Sukadev Goswami that all the demigods, the great exalted demigods, Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma, Indra, all of them come under the control of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So he controls everyone. But what is unique about this pastime now? That he now is being controlled. Let's see. Yet the Supreme Lord has one transcendental attribute. So what is that supreme transcendental attribute? He becomes under the control of his devotees. This was now being exhibited by Krishna in this pastime. So this is the one transcendental attribute. Note, it's a transcendental attribute. He's not coming under the modes of material nature. He's not coming under Prakriti. It's a transcendental attribute that he's exhibiting, and he's only exhibiting it because of love. If we examine the great religions of the world, it will be very hard to find a situation where the Lord is coming under the control of the devotee. But in Gaudiya Vaishnavism, we hear of such an exalted state of consciousness in devotional service where the Lord himself is coming under the control of the devotee. Usually the Lord is controlling everything. All religion, almost every religion on this planet is propagating that fear God. Gaudiya Vaishnavism or Krishna consciousness is propagating to love God. You hear all religions say fear God, otherwise he'll punish you. Krishna consciousness is saying love God. Love this little child. This little child, this is God in the form of a little child. This is God. This is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So just so that you don't misunderstand that God can be in the form of a little child, he also is showing his vibhutis, his opulences. That don't be covered over and think that I'm not God. I am God. But the power of this love that this devotee is showing is so strong that it's overpowering me. It's overpowering my potencies. So just see what is love. There is something that is stronger than God, and that is love. So Prabhupada gives a very beautiful purport, which I'd like to go through. Prabhupada says, this pastime of Krishna is very difficult to understand. And I think we're also trying to come to grips with what's going on here. But let's see why. But devotees can understand it. You see, if you're not a devotee, you're not going to understand what's going on here because you won't be able to relate. And only a devotee can explain to you this pastime. That's why we're so indebted to Srila Prabhupada. Because without these purports, we would miss a huge aspect of this. Actually, the pivotal points. We would just look at, there's another cowherd lady who's running after her child. She loves her child. She's protecting her child. These are all maternal characteristics which we see in this world. But it's not ordinary. Only a devotee can understand what is the different bhav, the different bhavas, the moods that are being exchanged, what is going on in the whole interplay between the devotee and the Lord. Where the devotee first, where the Lord first exhibits, or where the Lord first exhibits, then he exhibits his controlling potency. Then he exhibits, then she exhibits her love, and then he becomes controlled. Then he exhibits his love, and then she can't bind him. Then she exhibits her love, and then she's able to bind him. So this back and forth of what's going on in the heart of and in the mind of the devotee and the Lord, that you can only get from the purports of the Bhagavatam. Because these great acharyas, they live it. They are absorbed in this. This is samadhi. They are absorbed in this depth of meditation. And therefore they can feel, they can hear, they can be part of these beautiful pastimes that bring out these bhavas, these moods in such a deep way. Prabhupada goes on to say, it is therefore said, Darshayam stadvidham loka atmano bhaktavasyatam. Srimad Bhagavatam 10.11.9. The Lord displays the transcendental attribute of coming under the control of his devotees. So this mood of coming under the control of the devotees, this is where Prabhupada, this is where that statement that we just read from is coming from. It's from the 11th chapter. We're on the 9th chapter. So it's describing that the Lord, out of love, he has this one transcendental attribute. And what is that attribute? That he comes under the control of his devotees. That is not an ordinary thing. That is a very deep thing, because how much must you trust before you let somebody control you? Out of love. This is not slavery. This is not controlling one by force or controlling one by his energies. This is controlling by love. And then how much of love? Because we see as the rasas increase and become more intense, Krishna becomes more helpless by that love. He can't exhibit any potencies in that love. The higher and higher it goes, then the more he becomes helpless by that love. So just see what is the depth of love between the Lord and his devotee. Yesterday I was listening to a class by another senior devotee, and he is a medical doctor. And he was saying that they asked him, why did you join full time? So he said, I was simply searching for love, trying to understand what is love and what it is to be loved. And when I saw, the closest of that was my parents, and they were genuinely very loving and caring and brought me up in the right way. And then he goes on to say, but I could see that their love was simply because they wanted me to become something. And that would have fulfilled their ego. It wasn't love in the way I understood love. So as much as it's close enough to understand love, it's still impure, because parents definitely have a desire that their child becomes something better than them. So that sometimes, there's jokes about this, that don't disgrace our family name and make sure, oh, my son, yeah, he's in America now. So you put all that together. What is the purpose of showing love then? It was just to satisfy this point of the ego. So it's so subtle. It's so subtle. So trying to find pure love, that you can only find in Krishna, where he himself, now the supreme powerful being, is coming under your control just by your love. So it goes on to say, As stated in the Brahma Samhita 5.35, Ekopyasyasyo rachayitam jagadanda koti yad shaktirasti jagadanda chayad anantaha andantarasta paramanu chayantarastam govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajame. By this one plenary portion as Paramatma, the Lord controls innumerable universes. So this verse we quoted quite a lot from the Brahma Samhita, where just by his plenary portion as the Paramatma, he is controlling Eko Pyayascho Rachayitam Jagadanda Koti. Just by that one plenary portion, he is controlling all of creation. How powerful is this God? So that power he has, but now he's coming under control. What is the power that's controlling him now? So how can he be the supreme power? Because this power is controlling him. It's not controlling out of slavery. No, it's controlling out of love. Very different understanding. With all their demigods, yet he agrees to be controlled by a devotee. In the Upanishads, it is said that the Supreme Personality of Godhead can run with more speed than the mind. But here we see that although Krishna wanted to avoid being arrested by his mother, he was finally defeated. So we can see that the Upanishads are saying that he runs faster than the speed of the mind. If he runs so fast, then how can Mother Yashoda caught him? Because of love. Because remember that turning point, he saw her face and he saw she was tired and she endeavored so much. By that endeavor, he gave the mercy. So it goes on to say, and Mother Yashoda captured him. Lakshmi Sahasra Sata Sambhrama Sevyamanam. Brahma Samhita 5.29. Krishna is served by hundreds and thousands of goddesses of fortune. Nonetheless, he steals butter like one who is poverty stricken. So just see, he's served by one Lakshmi we know of. Vishnu and Lakshmi. When we do Lakshmi Puja, we praying only to one Lakshmi. But in Golok Vrindavan, Lakshmi Sahasra Sata Sambhrama Sevyamanam Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajame. Thousands of Lakshmis there. So if one Lakshmi can give so much of fortune in this material world, that place is Lakshmi Sahasra, thousands of Lakshmis. How can it be a poverty place? So if it's not poverty, why this boy is stealing butter? And why butter out of all things? Because of the love. We discussed that, how there's love within that butter. That's why he's stealing it. So just see, he himself becomes enslaved because of love. Just see the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That's why this is so intriguing. How did the Supreme Lord become enslaved to be subordinate by anybody? He becomes that because of love. Prabhupada goes on to say in the purport, Yamaraj, the controller of all living entities, fears the order of Krishna. Yet Krishna is afraid of his mother's stick. So just see all these transcendental contradictions that are coming. He is the Supreme Lord. Just by one part of him, he's controlling this whole universe. He is the Supreme Lord. This whole universe has one Lakshmi. He has thousands of Lakshmis in Golok Vrindavan, but he's stealing like he's poverty stricken. The Supreme Lord, Yamaraj, fears him. He keeps dharma in one hand and time on the other hand. Yamaraj. But he fears the Supreme Lord. And yet this same Supreme Lord is frightened for Mother Yashoda's stick. Just see all these contradictions that are coming. So what does Prabhupada say? These contradictions cannot be understood by one who is not a devotee, but a devotee can understand how powerful is unalloyed devotional service to Krishna. How powerful is devotional service? Like we were quoting from Nectar of Devotion, the first chapter describes the auspiciousness of devotional service. And they say that, Rupa Goswami says in the first chapter, that devotional service is so powerful. Firstly, it's so rare. Secondly, it's auspicious. Thirdly, it's so powerful, it can even attract the all-powerful being. Krishna is Madan Mohan. We have our Madan Mohan ji here. Madan Mohan temple. So Krishna is Madan Mohan, but Radharani is Madan Mohan Mohini. So she can even attract him. So Prabhupada goes on to say, it is so powerful that Krishna can be controlled by an unalloyed devotee. So yesterday I heard something very, very powerful and very beautiful. So Tribhuvanath Prabhu, Prabhupada's disciple who used to preach in Africa, is from UK. So he was giving a class and he was quoting Prabhupada by saying, this Supreme Lord cannot be captured. And he was quoting and he was giving his realizations, Prabhupada memories. And he brought out one memory that really shook me to the core. So he was saying that Prabhupada would come to see London Ishwar and he would observe that there seemed to be some transcendental mellow going on between the deities and Prabhupada. Because sometimes Prabhupada would just cry, sometimes Prabhupada would just tear. You could see that something has happened. And then Prabhupada in one class there, he said, I have captured Krishna and I'm holding him here for you. Please come and take. Oof. That was very, very deep. That was very, very deep. He said, I have captured Krishna. If you only know what I have done. I have captured Krishna and I'm holding him here. He's trying to run away, but I'm holding him here. Why is he being held here? Because a devotee is forcing him to stay there. So please come and take. Please come and take. It was a very deep class. It was a very deep realization, especially for me, that how much do we owe to Srila Prabhupada? Not only has he given all these books, he's also captured Krishna and he's holding on to Krishna just so we can come and take. We can come and take Krishna's mercy. Just think about that one. So he goes on in the purport. This Britya Vasyata does not mean that he is under the control of the servant. Rather, he is under the control of the servant's pure love. So see the difference. He is not being controlled by a person. He is being controlled by the person's love. That is why, what are we cultivating? You know, many of you have been around in Krishna consciousness for many years. What is the goal of Krishna consciousness? What are we supposed to achieve by this? The goal is Prema Pumarta Mahan, to go back to Godhead and to attain love. And what is love? This is love. Our religion, Krishna consciousness, is giving us the deepest insights onto what is love. Our religion is nothing but love. Pure love, unalloyed, ananya bhakti, pure love. And it can be understood and it can be appreciated and assimilated if we get the association of a devotee like Srila Prabhupada, who brings us to our awareness, who shakes us up and makes us see the transcendental reality, not the relative reality. And in that way, we can deepen our connection with Krishna. He goes on to say, in Bhagavad Gita 1.21, it is said that Krishna became the charioteer driver of Arjuna. Arjuna ordered him, Senayor ubayor madhye ratam stapaya me chuta. My dear Krishna, you have agreed to be my charioteer and to execute my orders. Please place my chariot between the two armies of soldiers. Krishna immediately executed this order, and therefore one may argue that Krishna also is not independent. So one may say, you are saying Krishna is Swarat, he is independent, but he is following orders here. But he is not following orders as a servant. He is following orders out of love. Prabhupada goes on to say, but this is one's ajnana, ignorance. Krishna is always fully independent when he becomes subordinate to his devotees. So he's fully independent. We see that he exhibited in this pastime also. First he ran, then he was allowed her to catch him. Then she is trying to tie him. He doesn't let it, 2 fingers short. Then he allows her to bind him. So he's exhibiting his potencies, but he's also coming under the control of her love. This is a display of Ananda Chinmaya Rasa, the humor of transcendental qualities that increase his transcendental pleasure. So this is Krishna's Ananda Chinmaya Rasa. This is the loving exchange. That's why we say loving exchange between Krishna and his devotees. Because without that exchange, he is not a servant of anyone. He is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Just like Satyavrata Muni is saying, Namam Ishwaram Satchitananda Rupam. You are the Supreme Controller and you have a transcendental body. So until we understand the first line of Damodar Astikam, you'll never understand any other part of the pastime. First understand the first line, that he is Supreme Lord. That is what today's verse is saying. And he has a transcendental body. He is not an ordinary child that's crying and making drama. He's doing that, but he's doing it out of love. It's being calculated out of love to bring out that bhava in his devotee, and she brings out the mercy in him. It's a very, very deep exchange. Everyone worships Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and therefore he sometimes desires to be controlled by someone else. Such a controller can be no one else but a pure devotee. So sometimes Krishna has these desires. We know with Jai and Vijay, the 4th canto, the story of the Kumaras cursed Jai and Vijay, and then they became 3 demons or 3 lifetimes demons or 7 lifetime devotees. They said, no, 3 lifetime demons. And then the commentary explains that because the Lord wanted chivalry, he wanted to fight. Therefore, who can fight with the Lord besides the devotee? We know devotees are so good in fighting. Neophyte, we call the devotees neophyte, right? They're so good in fighting, you can't believe. They fight among, even here also we see battles go on amongst devotees. Neophyte, they're very good in fighting. So the Lord saying, you're so good, so much practice I gave you all within ISKCON. Now I'm wanting you all to take one incarnation so I can fight with you all. So that this fighting, only the devotee can fight with the Lord. So what a deep revelation was given today about understanding what is love. What is Krishna's position? What is the devotee's position? And how these transcendental contradictions are concluded. It can only be done out of love if you understand what is love. So our whole practice, everything we're doing in Krishna consciousness is to understand what is love, to understand the deep-rooted principle of love. This will take lifetimes, but it's possible in this lifetime due to this one devotee. A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Due to Srila Prabhupada, we are able to understand this concept, practice it, and go back to Godhead in this very lifetime. So thank you very much. Please join us again tomorrow. Hare Krishna.